Good morning, Ultimate Hustlers and Digital Empire Builders. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show, and today we got another wonderful show lined up for you. We're talking 10 tips for managing small business finances. That's right. You guys know as I am growing in my development of my own small business, those things that I'm studying and learning and focusing on are the things that I bring to you guys. So you got to understand how to manage your money as a small business. As the good book says, if you can be a good steward over little, you ultimately become a good steward over much. So do me a huge favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and all your brand, smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, and let's kick it this morning. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show on this Indigenous Peoples Day. Good morning. Today's show, we're talking 10 tips for managing small business finances. So I'm your host, Cortez Hustle, everybody's favorite entrepreneur, coming to you live and direct from the local Biz Marketing Pro studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're a small local business looking to optimize your online presence, increase your lead flow, and grow your revenue, check out localbizmarketingpros.com. Today, we've got a wonderful show lined up for you. We're talking about finances, man, as I'm continuing to grow in my small one-man operation right now. I thought it would be a great idea to start focusing on how to manage my business finances because I can't grow a multi-billion-dollar international media conglomerate with sloppy books, right? So I've got to learn, and I figured that as I'm studying, I would be sharing this journey with you as well. So comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand. I love to know what you're building. Give me the number one challenge that you have when it comes to managing your business's finances, right? Do you have a bookkeeper? Do you have a good accountant? What kind of softwares, apps, or tools you're using that's helping you? I would love to know because, again, I'm on this journey as a small business owner in the B2B space now with Local Biz Marketing Pros. I'm super excited to be in this space, but I'll be honest, I'm nervous as all get out, man. It's like this is a new world for me. But, you know, good things come to those who hustle, and you got to be willing to take risks. And that's what I'm doing to fulfill what I believe is my mission on this planet. A couple quick announcements before we get the show underway today. If you are in the Local Biz Marketing Pros Mastermind group, right? So we have a private Facebook group called the Local Biz Marketing Mastermind. We're during office hours today from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time today. That's where you can jump in a Zoom session with me, ask any questions, look over my shoulders as I'm doing my own marketing and setting up my business for success. So, but you got to be in that group so you can get the Zoom link for that. That's going on today at 12 and 1, 12 to 1. And then I think I'm going to do it again this coming Thursday as well. So those are open office hours for you to do some, get some personalized attention from your boy. And that's how I bless the people who are rocking with me, even in my private Facebook groups, which is a free group, by the way. I just try to make myself available and to offer as much help and assistance as I can. Tomorrow, we've got a dope show. For those of you who are in the St. Louis metro area, we've got this interview with Laura Gully and Vanna Spratt for Generate Health STL. And it's an opportunity to learn what infant mortality rates are doing in our community and how we can improve them, and what systemic causes are affecting the infant mortality rate in our communities, and why our babies are dying at a much greater clip. So stay connected to the pages so that you guys can check that out today. So let's officially start the show, man. Y'all know how we do it. When we start the Cortez Hustle Show, we officially start with a quote of the day. And today's quote says this: "The day is his who works with serenity and great aims." The day basically belongs to the person who works with serenity and great aim. That's Waldo Emerson. And when I think about that quote, I think about emotional intelligence, right? I think about planning your day the night before. I think about really being at peace with operating in your gifts. I think about making sure that your environment is conducive for success and as stress-free as you can possibly make it, right? You've got to operate in serenity, peace, and calm. Some of us are in some very stressful jobs and some very stressful businesses. You got to figure out how to find peace in those spaces. And you got to have great aims, man. Y'all hear me all the time talk about this multi-billion-dollar international media conglomerate, right? Because something has to pull you through the muck and the mire that you're going to face as an entrepreneur, that you're going to face as a parent, that you're going to face as a community activist, that you're going to face as a politician, a religious leader. Whatever your mission is, whatever your purpose is, whatever you're working towards, you've got to have great aims, right? You've got to be willing to risk it all for something that's worth it all, right? And I believe in having big, big, big goals, big, big, big vision, big, big, big dreams. Because when the vision is big enough, the dream is big enough, the aspiration is big enough, then your problems, the challenges, the hurdles that you have to climb seem very small. What we tend to do is make the hurdles, make the challenges, the mountains that show up in our way, we make them big and we shrink our dream down to our current resources. Do not, people, I repeat, do not do that. Don't shrink your dreams down to fit your current resources. Your goal is to expand yourself to fill out into the person that you need to become in order to achieve that dream. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by our automated leads machine. Meet the AI assistant that helps you scale your cold outreach campaigns faster, cheaper, and easier. If you need some help with your cold outreach, that is, you've identified an industry that you want to work in, you've got an irresistible offer that you need to get in front of them, we can help you with that. We could literally source thousands of those ideal customers for you, put your emails and your campaigns in our automated system, and reach out to thousands of people on your behalf to present your irresistible offer. And ultimately, we filter those people out so that they end up as booked appointments on your calendar. If you need help with that, then all you got to do is check out local Biz Marketing Pros, book a strategy session, and we'll help you with that. So today, the focus is on finances for your business. How do you manage your finances in your business? And chances are, if you don't have a handle on your personal finances, don't think you're going to start a business and automatically just start doing some good things with your business finances. But we're focusing on small business owners, right? I've got 10 tips for you. So I found this article on Business News Daily, and this is just one of many articles. I tell you this: if you are not using Google, if you're not using YouTube to learn and grow. Yes, you should have mentors. Yes, you should be investing in courses, coaches, and consultants and all of those things. But when I tell you, I got a gazillion degrees from YouTube University, right? When I want to learn something to see if something is at least worth my time of investigating or worth my time and worth me investing more money into it, I always start with Google. I always start with YouTube. Now, they gave me a ton of resources, and chances are I'm going to get me a bookkeeper. I'm going to get me an accountant, right, for this particular business endeavor. But you have to start somewhere. And I always start with a good Google search. So 10 tips for managing small business finances. This is an article by Matt D'Angelo. So education and organization are two keys to ensuring your business is financially healthy. The importance of managing your business finances. The most important step for any business owner is to educate themselves. I understand the basic skills needed to run a small business, like doing simple accounting tasks, applying for a loan, or drafting financial statements. Business owners can create a stable financial future and avoid failure. In addition to education, staying organized is a major component of sound money management. I'm going to tell you right now, I got to have a bookkeeper, right? Because one of the things that I struggle with is being organized. And I found that tons of people who are creative in their genius, like that is my genius zone, creativity, right? But in this never-ending explosion that goes on in my mind every day, to put it like Elon Musk puts it, organization is not high in the priorities there, because I'm constantly creating, I'm constantly thinking, I'm constantly challenging, pushing boundaries and things of that nature. So me being self-aware says, I need somebody to help me with this. This is not something that I'm going to be able to fix on my own. And it's okay to get to that place. Now the question is, okay, since that is the case, how do you position the business to be able to afford a bookkeeper to be managing these services for you full time? So number one on the list of tips for managing small businesses, pay yourself, right? If you're running a small business, it can be easy to try and put everything into day-to-day operations. After all, the extra capital can often go a long way in helping your business grow. Alexander Lowry, a professor and director of the Master of Science in Finance Analysis program at Gordon College, said small business owners shouldn't overlook their own role in the company and should compensate themselves accordingly. You want to ensure that your business and personal finances are in good shape. Many small business owners, especially at the outset, neglect to pay themselves, he said. They believe it's more important to get the business up and running and pay everyone else. But if the business doesn't work out, you won't have ever paid yourself. Remember, you're part of the business and you need to compensate yourself as much as possible. Interesting. And if you're having trouble setting this up, this is why having a good bookkeeper or accountant to walk you through some of these things can absolutely help you in this. Now, I get it. If you're just starting and the business has not made any revenue yet, then that's one thing. But as you are planning out the business, you should already have a budget and allocate what your salary is going to be as you are moving towards growing the business and revenue. You should know how much revenue you need every month to cover operations and to cover your salary as an employee. So number one on the list, pay yourself first. Number two, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about 10 tips for managing finances as a small business, right? And this is an article that we found on, what is the article on? It's on Business News Daily. Number two, invest in growth, right? This is critical. In addition to paying yourself, it's important to set aside money and look into growth opportunities. This can allow your business to thrive and move in a healthy financial direction. Edgar Collado, Chief Financial Officer at Tobias Financial Advisors, said business owners should always keep an eye on the future. I so wholeheartedly agree with this. There's always going to be opportunities to show up, right? And especially now, if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, he says for the last 5 years, he's been hoarding cash, right? Because what he believes is that as he's building his own marketing engine, he's like, man, eventually we're not going to keep propping up this economy. The economy has to crash. Businesses are going to go out of business. They're going to tank. They're going to be sold for pennies on a dollar. And if you're doing the right things with your finances while you're in a good place financially as a business, putting some money to the side for your future and future opportunities just makes sense. You're like, man, some of these companies are going to be sold for pennies on a dollar. I'm going to be able to go buy them up, plug them into my marketing engine, and then turn them around. And when the economy turns around, I'm going to be able to sell these businesses for a great profit. And I'm like, how often have you in your own personal life seen an opportunity cross your face, and the only reason you didn't take advantage of it because you were not financially ready? You didn't have access to the capital. You couldn't get the credit. You didn't have the cash sitting away. How many times, right? Put in the comments. How many times have you literally had a great opportunity cross your face and not be able to take advantage of it? And the only reason you couldn't take advantage of it is because you couldn't put your hands on the cash, right? A small business that wants to continue to grow, innovate, and attract the best employees should demonstrate that they are willing to invest in the future. Customers will appreciate the increased level of service. Employees will appreciate that they are investing in the company and in their careers. And ultimately, you will create more value for your business than if you were just spending all your profits in or on personal matters. That's huge, y'all. That's huge. So as your business is starting to do well, you're putting something to the side to invest in your business's future. So we're talking 10 tips to help manage, to better manage business finances. Number 3 on the list, and this is a good one. Don't be afraid of loans, right? Loans can be scary. They can lead to worry about the financial repercussions that accompany failure, right? You think about getting a loan, you're thinking about, man, what if I can't pay this loan back? What if the revenue is not coming in for the business, right? You cannot be afraid of loans. And I'm going to say this. We have been trained in a lot of cases to look at debt as a bad thing, right? But one of my mentors, Dr. Danetta Watson, talks about the fact that too many of our businesses are bootstrapping our businesses, and we're trying to run our businesses off revenue. That's not how successful businesses build. Successful businesses create a budget. They write down the operating costs. They understand where they're going, how much is it going to cost to market the products and the services, and they have this budget, right? And then this budget is maybe set for a year. Maybe it's a budget for 3 years or 5 years. And then what they do, y'all, is based on the financial stability of the company, they go out and get finances to cover that whole budget. And then they're taking that budget and they're allocating it towards what they are trying to get accomplished. So they will go out and maybe borrow money to cover payroll, for instance. They will go out and borrow money to cover expenses, for instance. Now the revenue that's pouring into the company, they're not trying to pay people's salary based on the revenue. They've already got the funds for that. They're not trying to take the revenue from the company and invest in marketing. No, they already got the money from that for that because they borrowed that from the jump. They're not trying to take the money that's coming in month over month and operate the business. No, they got a loan that includes all the operational costs of the business. Now, the revenue they're separating to cover the cost of the loans, and they're putting the others into they're separating as profit, right? Most small businesses, are not putting themselves in the best position possible to be funded, and B, those that are not putting themselves in position to be funded is usually because they have a mental block that says there's something wrong with debt. There's something wrong with having a loan, and that's just not the case. So you got to fix that. Without the influx of capital you obtain from loans, you may face substantial challenges when trying to purchase equipment or grow your team. You can also use loan proceeds to boost your cash flow and thus face fewer issues paying employees and suppliers on time. But it starts with you creating a budget, right? It starts with you having a solid product or service. It starts with you making sure that you have the right business model. Yeah, it starts with you understanding how much it's actually going to cost for you to market this business. It starts with you understanding how to adequately price your products and services. It starts with you understanding the growth rate of your industry. So all of that goes into pricing, right? It's crazy to think about that. Most people, when they come into the world of business, they come into the world of business from a consumer's mindset. So they're thinking, if I just got a good product or service, and if I charge this amount, then that's going to be profit. No, it's way deeper than that. Ask me how I know. Because until I went through the Black Mastermind Group's boot camp, I had no idea of all the things that go into pricing a product, for instance, right? So you cannot be afraid of debt when it comes to building and growing a business. In fact, most wealthy people have built their businesses using the revenue and the finances and the capital of other people. Most when we hear about people being self-made millionaires, right? And there's nothing wrong with a self-made millionaire, but except the fact that there's really no such thing as a self-made millionaire. Nobody makes their millions by themselves, right? Yeah, they might have started with themselves, but when we hear self-made millionaires, at some point, those organizations got funding. They got a loan. They got some infusion of capital or cash to help stabilize their business. It just only makes good sense. But you have to know, as a small business owner, especially as a small Black business owner, what's keeping you from getting access to capital. Yeah, we can talk about systemic racism and financial institutions. That is a real thing, right? Yeah, we can talk about historic redlining and things of that nature, right? That is a real thing. Yeah, we can talk about the fact that a large percentage of our business owners say when they go in to get financing, they are turned down and they are offered no help, while other communities go in and that while they are getting turned down, they're also getting told, hey, the reason you got turned down is because of this, 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 and this. Hey, if you come back with this, 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 and this, then maybe we can help you. So they're getting help through the actual process, right? So yeah, we can look at that. And that's usually what we scream the loudest about. But what nobody is talking about is you're running a business and a business model that's not fundable. Nobody wants to hear that. But if you're running a business that is based on you and you alone, it's hard for a financial institution to fund a business like that. Why? Because if something happens to you, they can't recoup their money. So we've got to look at all of the factors that's keeping us from getting access to capital and make the necessary adjustments and corrections along the way. So we're talking 10 tips for better managing business finances. And we're going to continue this conversation. But before we do that, we got to get into some 1 minute motivation. If you're new to the Cortez Hustle Show, every episode we do a segment called 1 minute motivation. That's where I play a short motivational clip, usually 60 to 90 seconds or so. And I'm going to ask you to comment your takeaways. I'm going to give a couple takeaways myself. So let's get into some 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that it's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump.
When you become the right person, what I mean by the right person is once you identify who you are and you begin to separate yourself from the masses and you begin to see your individuality, when you begin to see your talents, when you begin to see your personal skills. When you were created with a specific purpose, a specific design. I don't care if you was born and your parents didn't claim you, you still special.
Hoo-wee. What say ye, people? Listen, man. Listen, this is so rich this morning as we're talking about, business, finances, and those sorts of things. At the end of the day, you got to be willing to take risks, right? I had a good conversation with my brother-in-law just yesterday. He went and got him a pit boss. So we're over there putting this thing together, right? Like it's this. If you don't know what a pit boss is, it is a barbecue grill that operates off wood pellets, and it's a pretty fascinating piece of equipment, right? But when he got it, he's like, I did not know that it was going to be this many pieces that I have to put together. And as we're talking and just having a good old conversation, brother to brother, and he's expressing, where we are in life and some of the things that we're trying to do and where we see ourselves going. And the topic of fear came up, right? And we both were able to admit that sometimes we allow fear to hold us back, right? Sometimes we overanalyze things to the point that the window of opportunity passes us while we are stuck in a paralysis of analysis, right? And if you listen to what Steve Harvey says, man, sometimes you just have to jump. Not having all the answers, not having all the support, not knowing how it's going to go, not having the experience. You just have to jump. And as scary as that sounds, it's just how it has to go, right? I heard a story from Jim Rohn talking about there was an executive who had really took the company to another level, and he was ready to retire. And there's a new guy, young guy, ambitious, ready to step in and try to fill that void, is excited. And he's talking to the older gentleman. He's like, hey, I've got a question before you go. I got a question. How were you able to get to where you are? And he's looking for this profound explanation and this detailed oration about how this executive was able to do all these amazing things for the company. And the older executive said 2 words: right choices. And he went on about his day, enjoying his congratulations there at the celebration, celebrating his life and his accomplishments. And you can tell that the young man that wasn't the answer the young man was looking for. So he's getting a little frustrated. So he said, wait, excuse me, sir. One more question. If right choices is how you get to all of this massive success that you were able to create, how do you then get to the place where you make right choices? And without hesitation, the older gentleman looked at the young man and said one word: grow. And you can tell the young man is just getting increasingly more frustrated because he's looking for something deep. He's looking for something profound. Let me say this to you. Sometimes the deepest and the most profound things are found in simplicity. So he's determined to get the secret to this man's success. So as he's continuing to get his congratulations and get his flowers, he said, wait a minute, sir. You just said that in order for me to be as successful as you, I got to make right choices. But in order to get to the place that I can make right choices, I got to grow. Well, answer me this: how the heck do I grow? And without hesitation, the older gentleman says, wrong choices. See, sometimes we are so afraid to make the wrong move that we don't make any move at all. But it's in making the move, whether it's right or wrong, that growth takes place. And it's through the growing pains that you learn how to make right choices more consistently. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to jump. You've got to take risks. You've got to live and not just exist. You have to become the right person. As I'm building this multi-billion-dollar international media conglomerate, I have to become a multi-billion-dollar human being before I can run a multi-billion-dollar company. And that's why I do so much work on myself, because I got to become first in order to do so that I can have. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by Local Biz Marketing Mastermind. It's a free Facebook group where we're going to help you optimize your online presence, increase your lead flow, grow your revenue so you can expand your operations and contribute more to the communities that you serve. Look up Local Biz Marketing Mastermind on Facebook. Ask to join, answer the couple questions, and as long as you're coming with the right attitude to be a contributing factor to the conversation and not a spammer, then we would love to have you in the group. The link is also in the show notes and the comments. So that's 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. So we're talking about managing money as small business owners. One of the biggest challenges that small businesses have is usually financial. Right. The reason that I got into the B2B marketing space is because I watched what COVID did to small businesses, particularly Black-owned businesses. 40% of Black-owned businesses shut down completely. Most of those businesses will never come back online. Some of those businesses were able to pivot and make some adjustments and re-emerge. But most of those businesses will never come back online. One of the reasons that we struggle as small business owners is lack of access to capital and poor marketing. See, we don't understand that word of mouth can get the doors open and maybe keep the doors open, but you're not going to scale a business with word of mouth alone. So we've got to learn how to do more in terms of the areas of marketing. So I entered this space to help small businesses understand how to best leverage the internet, right? How to use these free and low cost marketing modalities to reach more people and keep the doors open. And now I understand that small businesses struggle with managing their finances, primarily because they don't put certain costs into the price of their product, right? Did you know that when you mark up a product, the markup should be consistent with the cost of marketing that product or service? I didn't know that until I joined the Black Mastermind group. When you see suggested retail price, or when you see at cost price, and then there's a markup on the price, did you know that that markup is for marketing? I didn't know that. So if you have marketing baked into every product, then you should have a marketing budget. Most small businesses don't. So we're talking about managing small businesses finances, but some of the times that we're struggling financially is because of the foundation wasn't laid correctly. And I'm all for starting where you are with what you have and knowing that that is enough, right? But sometimes it's just enough to crack the door, but then you got to go back and pour a more solid foundation. And that's what I had to do. After I learned all this stuff, I'm like, man, I jacked this thing up. But at the same time, it's like, no, at least I did something, right? So we talked about paying yourself is number one. Invest in growth is number two. Don't be afraid of loans is number three. Number four on our list of 10 tips for managing business finances is keep good business credit. Now, speaking of business credit, if you do not have business credit or you do not know how to go about procuring business credit, then if you comment business credit, then I will send you a special link to our business credit webinar where you'll learn everything that you need to do to start going down the path of building business credit. And if for some reason it's too intense for you to do yourself or you just don't have the time, then I can also share with you how you can hire our team to build your business credit for you, right? But number four is keep good business credit. As your company grows, you may want to purchase more commercial real estate, acquire additional insurance policies, and take out more loans to facilitate all these pursuits. Now, let me just stop right here because I'm not going to gloss over that. He said, acquire additional insurance policies. I just don't, I want to gloss over that. Wait, you mean to tell me as a business owner, there's insurance policies, additional insurance policies that I might want to take out? Yeah, there's something called key man insurance, right? There are different types of insurance that you can actually buy with cash value that you can borrow from to help you grow another conversation for another day. Nevertheless, I just wanted y'all to see that insurance policies could be part of your business growth strategy or where you could be putting some money, right? With poor business credit, getting approval for all these transactions and acquisitions can be more difficult. To keep good credit, pay off all your debt funding as soon as possible. For example, don't let your business credit cards run a balance for more than a few weeks. Likewise, don't take out loans with interest rates that you can't afford. Only seek funding that you can quickly and easily repay, right? I want you to think about that. With personal credit, if you pay the minimum on time, there's different ways that you can do personal credit. Business credit, you actually get rewarded for paying off your invoices early. That's why I said don't carry the balance for the full month, because you get rewarded. Your paydex score goes from 0 to 100. And if I am dealing with a vendor and they extend me credit, do you know that if I take the whole 30 days to pay it off, yeah, that's a good mark. But if I pay it off in 2 weeks, that's an even better mark for my business credit. So there's a lot of things that you can do to start building business credit. And you need to understand that, because if you're trying to bootstrap your business without using other people's money, it could be done. I'm not gonna lie, it could be done. If you're using funnels and things of that nature, it could very well be done where you can just bring in a lot of capital, especially those of us who understand how to sell digital products, courses, and things of that nature, where the margin is high. Those of us who sell software as a service, the margin is high. So it could be done. But you really want to grow and scale a business, tap into OPM, other people's money. And business credit is a good way to start getting that ball rolling. Young and Successful says business credit. I got you. I'm gonna make sure that you get that link to go check out our business credit education webinar. Have a good so number 4 was good business credit. That's important. Number 5 on our list of 10 tips for managing small business finance. Have a good billing strategy, right? This is critical because some of us are struggling financially because we don't have a strategy in place for collecting on what people owe us. Every business owner has a client that is consistently late on its invoices and payments. Managing small business finances also means managing cash flow to ensure your business is operating at a healthy level on a day-to-day basis. If you're struggling to collect from certain customers or our clients, it may be time to get creative with how you bill them, right? Too much cash tied up in unpaid invoices can lead to cash flow problems and a leading cause of business failure, said James Steferuk, managing editor of Invoice Factoring Guide, right? You don't know what invoice factoring is. It's another way that you can get the revenue that people owe you without having to chase your clients, right? Again, something else I learned from the Black Mastermind group. If you have a chronic late paying customer, which we all do, instead of badgering them with repeated invoicing and phone calls, try a different approach. Change the payment terms to 210 net 30. This means if the customer pays the invoice within 10 days, they receive a 2% discount off the total bill. If not, the terms are full payment due in 30 days. So changing how you bill and incentivizing your clients for paying early, like there's nothing like having thousands and thousands of dollars in invoices that you're struggling to collect on. Now, again, invoice factoring is a way that you can go after that money, but you're going to give up a huge chunk of that money to the factoring companies, right? But if you can creatively find ways to get your clients to pay, starting with making sure you're attracting the right clients to begin with, right? Because that's a thing, right? But I get it. Walmart, from what I understand, and sometimes I've heard this about Walmart and some of these big companies, is that they have longer payment terms. It takes them long to turn around invoices, right? It's nothing. It's one thing to be excited about, man, I just sold 50 pallets of something to Walmart, right? Yeah, hooray. But then to not get that revenue for 120 days, can your business stay afloat that long, right? That's those are the types of questions. But even smaller clients and customers, like you have to figure out how you bill and make sure you have a solid system and strategy in place so that you're constantly getting, so it doesn't interrupt your cash flow, right? So number 6 on our list of 10 tips for managing small business finances is spread out tax payments, right? This is a good one because we know that Uncle Sam has got to get his piece, right? If you have trouble saving for your quarterly estimated tax payments, make it a monthly payment instead, said Michael Etzel, owner of Bayside Accounting Services. That way you can treat tax payments like any other monthly operating expense, right? So when I was going through the Business Mastery Institute boot camp with Dr. Danetta Watson, she was showing me how to calculate my taxes and then put them in my monthly budget, right? Even though they're going to be paid out quarterly, in my case, you're saying put them in your monthly operating budget so that when you go and seek finances, you're actually borrowing the money that you know you're going to end up paying Uncle Sam at the same time. It's like, whoa, nobody ever taught us that or taught me that. I don't know. Maybe you got a different business education, but no one ever taught me that, right? So that's a huge thing because taxes could break your business if you're not careful, right? And I know as business owners, we get all these write-offs and all these tax deductions and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if your business is successful, you're going to have a bill that goes to Uncle Sam, right? You are literally going to owe Uncle Sam, right? What's up, Mark? He said Walmart has over 500 reporting trade lines. Yeah, because they understand how to use other people's money. It is huge, and they even do the same thing with their vendors. They get everything on credit. They might go to Procter and Gamble and say, "Man, give us a $10 million worth of Tide products on a net 60." Procter and Gamble say, "Cool, I know y'all good for it." So they get the product up front at no cost, sell all of the product, and then pay Procter and Gamble out of the profits, right? It's about relationship building too. So don't forget that, man. All businesses are relationship businesses, right? So, and yeah, Mark, they are the lowest price leader because they understand how to do good business. And that's something that we have to learn as small business owners, right? We can't approach business from the consumer side. Most of us, the only thing we know about business is being a customer. And we bring that mentality into running our businesses. And that's not good, right? So if you're just tuning in, we're talking 10 tips for managing small business financing. We're on number 7, monitor your books, right? This is why I know I've got to get me a bookkeeper, right? I want to be in my zone of genius. I just want to be creating, developing, creating the relationships, executing. I don't want to be monitoring the books, right? But until you can afford a bookkeeper, monitor your books. This is an obvious practice, but a very important one. Do your best to set aside time each day or month to review and monitor your books. Even if you're working with a bookkeeper, it will allow you to become more familiar with the finances of your business, but also provide you with a window into potential financial crime. And not always, I try not to always go to the darkest places, right? So maybe not a financial crime, but even in my personal finances, I remember looking at my bank statements for a 90-day period, and I just saw how much money was getting away from me. It wasn't a crime. It's just, I thought my money was going one place, but when you see it in black and white and realize it's actually going somewhere else, you can make the necessary adjustments. Do not neglect bank reconciliations and spending some time each month on reviewing outstanding invoices, said Terrence Channon, principal for Newland LLC. Failing to do this, especially if a bookkeeper is involved, opens up your business to wasteful spending or even embezzlement, right? So watching your books, watching every dollar, monitoring invoices, constantly auditing, right? I'm doing this because I'm in the software business and the business that I do and I provide for my clients. I'm always getting tools and resources that help me better get results for my clients. And sometimes the tools change and I forget to go back and cancel this, and they're hitting my bank account for X amount of dollars per month on a recurring subscription. Like, you have to constantly be watching those things. Otherwise, you just could be bleeding money that you don't necessarily have to, right? So number 8 on our 10 tips of managing small business finances, number 8 on the list is focus on expenditures, but also rate of return, right? Measuring expenditures and return on investment can give you a clear picture of what investments make sense and which may not be worth continuing, says Deborah Sweeney, CEO of My Corporation, said small business owners should be wary of where they spend their money, right? I was just talking about that in some of the subscriptions. I might only need this tool for a month. I forget to go back and cancel it. And now I paid for it for 10 months. And that was money that could have been allocated somewhere else. Focus on the return on investment that comes with each of your expenditures, she said. Not doing this means that you can lose money on irrelevant or bad spending bets. Know where you are spending your hard-earned dollars and know that investment is paying off. If it isn't paying off, cut back and spend a bit more time on the initiatives that do work for you and your business, right? Another thing that I'm seeing small businesses do is the investment that they're making on paid advertisement without having the right mechanisms in place to track and monitor the return on investment, or if there is even a return on investment, right? Now, I get it. You can build brand and the return is over time. But if you're trying to create conversions and transactions and sales, and you're sinking hundreds of dollars a month into Facebook and Google ads, and you're not getting any sales, then you might need to rethink that whole strategy, right? And one of the things that we do at Local Biz Marketing Pros is we help you lay the foundation to make sure that even before you start investing in advertisement, do you have the systems in place so that the leads don't fall into a black hole, right? Because that's what happens in a lot of cases. Some people have raised their hand and say that they're interested, but if you're busy and you can't get in touch with them, especially in the first 5 minutes, your chances of converting that lead into a sale goes down by 80%. If you're not able to connect with your lead in the first 5 minutes, and this is a study that came out of MIT, you lose your chances of converting that lead goes down by 80%. So we help small businesses put the right systems in place so that those leads hear from them in the first 5 minutes and try to get them on the phone or whatever to increase their conversion rates. So that's critically important. So focus on what you're spending money on, and is it bringing you a return or the return that you are expecting from it? And you got to watch that stuff carefully, right? 2 more before we get out of here. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about 10 tips for better managing finances as a small business owner. Number 9, set up good financial habits, right? We all understand that success isn't built in a day, but it is built daily, right? This is where your habits come in. Establishing internal financial protocols, even if it's as simple as dedicating set time to review and update financial information, can go a long way in protecting the financial health of your business. Keeping up with your finances can help you mitigate fraud or risk. As a small business owner, we're often strapped for time, money, and have vastly inferior technical capabilities, but it shouldn't prevent any small business owner from implementing some sort of internal control. This is especially important if you have employees. Weak internal controls can lead to employee fraud or theft and can potentially get you into legal problems if you or your employees are not abiding by certain laws. Good financial habits, controls, checks and balances. This is important, right? This is why my good friend Yvette D. Best over at Best Tax Services says that your accountant and your bookkeeper can't be the same person. You have to have checks and balances, right? Your accountant and your bookkeeper should not be the same person. Checks and balances. And you should be right there in the middle, watching what the bookkeeper is doing and watching what the accountant is doing. The accountant is watching what the bookkeeper is doing. The bookkeeper is watching what the accountant is doing. They're both watching what you're doing. Checks and balances, right? Those habits, those rituals, right? Success is built daily, right? One step at a time. Implement the right habits and you start building success on autopilot. Last but not least, we're talking 10 financial habits, 10 tips for better managing your finances as a small business owner. Number 10 is plan ahead. Plan ahead. There will always be business issues that need to be addressed today, but when it comes to your finances, you need to plan for the future. If you're not looking 5 to 10 years ahead, you are behind the competition, says Tina Gonsnold, founder of QuickBooks specialist firm Set Free Bookkeeping, right? Plan ahead. Where are you going? Because what you're doing with your money today has a lot to do with where you plan to be 5 years from now. What you're doing with your money today, the habits that you're establishing today will affect how fast and or if you will get to your goals in the future. But if you don't even have a plan, a roadmap, if you don't have benchmarks that you're checking against along the journey, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? As my mentor says, you can't measure what you don't track, and you can't grow what you don't measure. So you should have benchmarks to say, we're in the fourth quarter of 2022. What did you want to see? What do you want to see from your business this last quarter? Right? And then how are you going to roll that over into first quarter of next year? And then how are you going to leverage that to have an astounding or to have an outstanding 2023? And then how do you leverage your growth from fourth quarter 2022, your awesome year of 2023, to better position you to maybe take your 5-year plan and get it accomplished in 4? God's a plan ahead, ladies and gentlemen. You got to plan ahead. So I put the link to this article in the comments. They also give you the different types of business finances. So debt funding, equity funding, they kind of break those two down. Debt funding is a loan that your company repays with added interest. Through debt financing, you can quickly access capital that you might not otherwise be able to get for weeks or even months. Bank loans, government loans, merchant cash advances, business credit lines, and business credit cards are all forms of debt financing, which you must repay even if your company fails, right? That's debt financing. But then you have debt funding, rather. And then you have equity funding. This is the one that I stay away from, right? Because equity funding, unlike debt funding, does not require repayment if your business fails. However, you will likely have to grant your funders a seat at the decision-making table. Venture capitalists, angel investors, and equity crowdfunding are all forms of equity funding. But you're giving up ownership. You're giving up control, right? The business fails and nothing happens, you don't pay that money back. They're taking a risk, but the reason they take that risk is because for the amount of money that they're giving you, they want so much of a percentage of your company so that the business succeeds, right? If the business succeeds, then they're going to get a multiples return on their investment. So for instance, if these numbers are correct, and I didn't do my own due diligence, so I apologize. But for instance, as an example, I think Nas, the rapper Nas, invested $4 million into Ring, the doorbell company, right? And from the time that he invested to the time that they actually sold the company to Amazon, may have been 5 or 6 years or something like that. And he may not have dropped the whole 4 million all at one time. He might have dropped $1 million here, and they made some progress and they asked for another $1 million. But his payout is a reported $40 million when they sold to Amazon for $1 billion, right? So equity funding sounds good, and it could be good. I don't know about your situation. Just understand that with equity funding, you are giving up a percentage of ownership of your company. And if you can deal with that, maintain control. If your funders are going to stay out of the way and let you do your thing, yeah, that's a good thing. I watched the movie Pumped, right? Pumped. and that was about TK. I forget his last name, but one of the founders of Uber, right? And as he kept taking on funding and kept taking on funding, they eventually pushed him out, right? Now, he still walked away with billions, but they pushed him out of the company, out of control. And so you got to be careful with equity funding, but it could be a beautiful thing depending on your business model and what you plan to do. But that's going to do it for us, man, here on the Cortez Hustle Show. I appreciate you guys for all tuning in. Remember, if you want the business credit link, just comment business credit, and I'll make sure you guys get that. I think it's a 90-minute free webinar that we have set up that teaches you all about business credit. And then if you actually want to, our team to actually do it for you, then you can actually buy that service. But we literally don't hold anything back. We just tell you everything that it requires for you to go ahead and start going down the path of business credit, or you can hire us to build that business credit for you. So appreciate you guys for all tuning in. Until I talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.